Hey guys, OG Albina here, and today, as many of you know, power creep is the single biggest problem in competitive singles Pokemon. Each coming generation, it seems like the Pokemon introduced get stronger and stronger, leaving the lesser, older Pokemon to languish in the background, never seeing the competitive light again. Because of this, I decided to make this series, in which I take some forgotten and unfortunately bad Pokemon that you all suggest to me in the comments, hint, suggest more in the comments, please, thank you, and bring them up to speed so that they can once again occupy a competitive niche. This series is therefore aptly called Fixing Your Favorites. Today, we have a special episode in which we'll be focusing solely on starter Pokemon. These are the Pokemon that we have all started our journeys with as Pokemon trainers, and are often some of our favorites in a generation due to them carrying us throughout the playthrough. Some starters have seen incredible competitive success: Swampert, Blaziken, Rillaboom, Cinderace, and many more, but some have never lived up to their in-game success. Today, we'll be doing our best to fix that. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to drop a like and sub to the channel. We have plenty of other videos on this topic on the channel, so you can definitely go check that out. And if you want to help us out along getting to 2,000 subs, I would really appreciate it. And remember, if you comment, you're entered into our giveaway of a Scarlet and Violet copy, so you can go ahead and win your game for free. We'll be running it for a couple more weeks before the game comes out, and yeah, you could potentially win that. So be sure to drop a comment as well. Alrighty, let's do it. We'll be starting with the early gens and working our way up. And what a Pokemon to start off with other than Meganium. Whenever I think of a subpar starter, my mind immediately goes to our Grass Dino friend. The biggest issue with Meganium is that it's a defensive pure grass type with no unique qualities like something like a Tangrowth and its Regenerator. After thinking long and hard, I decided to go the Radical Red route. First up, we'll be adding the Fairy typing to Meganium. This will give it a much more concrete niche and allow it to soft type dragons, darks, and fightings much better. To give it some Fairy stab, we will also be adding Moonblast and Draining Kiss to its move pool. This way it can actually hit the dragons it's checking. Looking at you, Tapu Bulu. Next, we'll also be adding the move Earth Power to its arsenal. This will allow it to not be completely stuffed by the fires and steels trying to take advantage of it. One final move we'll be giving it is Calm Mind, giving Meganium the opportunity to punish more passive builds by setting up and whittling them down fast. Lastly, we'll be giving Meganium the hidden ability Triage. Triage gives all recovery moves a +3 priority bracket, so Meganium's Giga Drains, Draining Kisses, and Synthesis will now have priority, allowing it to be much more immediately threatening and annoying. These aspects definitely won't make Meganium meta-defining, but it should carve out a niche for it as a defensive grass type. Next up is Meganium's fellow Johto starter Pokemon in Typhlosion. They really did my boy dirty by giving him Charizard's exact same stats, and not really giving him a standout trait like Zard's flying type. Today, we'll try and separate the two a bit. What is arguably Typhlosion's only defining feature is its access to a very powerful eruption. It's not a Pokemon with much coverage, and it relies on really overwhelming its targets with the sheer power of said eruption, whether it be with a Scarf or Specs. We will be leaning heavily into this aspect by first giving it adaptability. Before you start screeching at me in the comments, keep in mind Typhlosion's aforementioned abysmal coverage, as well as Eruption's reliance on a full HP Typhlosion, which can be very heavily chipped by incoming hazards or just faster threats. Trust me, it won't be broken, but it will be a very solid breaker. Next up, we'll be taking 10 base stats away from Typhlosion's attack in exchange for 10 BST increase to its speed. This will help its stat spread not be exactly identical to Zard's, while also giving it a nice speed buff. This will not force into a Scarf roll so often, and allow for Specs and heavy-duty boot sets to thrive. Lastly, we'll be adding Earth Power to its move pool. This will allow it to hit rock types that resist fire super effectively, and it already gets Earthquake, so not getting Earth Power doesn't make much sense to me. These buffs will allow Typhlosion to spam eruptions like it loves to do already, just at a much higher level. On to Gen 3 we go with Big Sceptile. I've always felt bad for Sceptile, considering Swampert and Blaziken are top tier competitive threats. We're going to try and bring Sceptile up to that point now. My first change to our Lizard Boy will be making him a physical attacker. It'll let us lean into the Leaf Blade's signature move motif, and Sceptile's just always seemed like more of a speedy physical attacker to me. To start, we'll simply be swapping its base attack with its base special attack. Base 105 is much more threatening than base 85, especially when we consider Swords Dance plus Unburden. Next up, I'll be giving Sceptile Close Combat as a better way of nuking through steels and other grass switches. Plus, it makes sense for the speedy physical attacker to get in close and mess you up with a CC. It'll also make White Herb Unburden sets very popular, as they wouldn't rely on terrain being up or berry popping. You could activate your Unburden boost by simply attacking and laying the herd down. Lastly, I'd also like to give Sceptile Sacred Sword. Close combat is honestly better, but Sacred Sword fits with the Blade Master vibe we're going for here, and it could be nice if you don't want any drops to your already frail defenses. Sceptile will likely never be Swampert or Blaziken level, but these buffs would at least be a step in the right direction. We're going to keep moving through the gens and get to our third and final grass starter in this video in Torterra. A lot like Sceptile, its Sinnoh starter counterparts have both seen great competitive success. Let's boost up Tort to their level. First off, we're giving it Shell Smash. They finally gave Shell Smash to Blastoise this gen, and I think it's only right to give it to Torterra here. Previously, Torterra could function as a mediocre double dance sweeper, but now it doesn't have to waste 2 turns to set up and only needs to find a single opportunity. In order to help Torterra become a truly solid Shell Smash sweeper, we'll also be giving it a plus 10 boost to its speed. 66 base speed opposed to 56 doesn't really seem like it matters on the surface, but what it does is it allows Tort to outspeed now base 95 and 100 Scarfers at plus 2 with a Jolly Nature, giving it ample more opportunity to set up. Lastly, and largely more importantly, we will be giving Torterra a new hidden ability. Again, don't get me wrong, Shell Armor is very solid, but I feel like taking away Overgrow just kind of takes away from a core aspect of a starter Pokemon. Plus, my new hidden ability in Solid Rock is much better than Shell Armor. Solid Rock is an ability typically found on fellow Gen 4 ground type and Rhyperior, and it lowers the damage you take from super effective hits. This is great for a grass type with plenty of those, as well as for a Pokemon that's now trying to set up a Shell Smash and win. The more Smash opportunities, the better. Plus, Solid Rock allows Torterra to play in its more standard defensive way much more reliably. With just a few fixes, we now have a bulkier tank with much better sweeping potential. This next one is a doozy. I never truly realized how mediocre this Pokemon is, that being Samurott. This is the Pokemon I changed by far the most in this video, so buckle in. First off, we'll be buffing Samurott's stats. As of right now, it does nothing notable to let it stand out in a massive pool of water Pokemon. I will be treating Samurott as if he is truly a Sword Master Samurai and be making him much more offensive. We'll start by taking away 20 special attack and 10 defense, while adding 20 speed and 10 physical attack to its base stat total. Now it will have a much more respectable base speed of 90 and a bit more oomph to its physical attack. I will also be adding the fighting typing to Samurott. Before you yell about Emboar being the Gen 5 fighting starter, too bad, I'm here to fix Samurott, not preserve the plot and gameplay of Generation 5. On top of adding this fighting type, we will also be giving it close combat for a stronger stab option, as well as flip turn to allow it to grab momentum. Our hypothetical Samurott is coming together pretty nicely so far. It's shaping up to be a very strong wall breaker, but there's still something missing. I want to give it a way to stand out from Keldeo and Urshifu Rapid Strike as an offensive water fighting type. We will find such differentiation in a new ability. Originally, I wanted to give it Intrepid Sword, as I felt it made sense with the whole samurai vibe, and Shell Armor is much too of a defensive ability for the Pokemon we've constructed. Unfortunately, I realized that ability is much too unbalanced, so we'll meet in the middle here. I came up with a brand new ability that'll function very similarly to Intrepid Sword, but much more balanced. This ability is called Armor Piercer, and what it does is whenever you switch in, your opponent's defense is automatically lowered by 1 stage. It works as a pseudo attack buff on the switch in, but there's much more wiggle room for your opponent who can switch out and take away the drop. However, a smart Samurott player can use this to their advantage, either flip turning to get free momentum or getting off a free sword stance to truly smash through their opponent. I'm pretty proud of this newly reworked Samurott. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Lastly, we'll finish off with a Kalos starter and Delphox. Fire Psychic is a pretty amazing type. I mean, look at Victini. Plus, I actually think Delphox is pretty solid in the lower tiers. It's super close to being great, so we'll only be making one change. We'll be swapping the useless hidden ability in Magician for good old Magic Guard. Man, I love this ability, especially on a Fire and Psychic type. This really opens the door for Delphox in terms of versatility. It now no longer has to worry about hazards or even wearing heavy-duty boots. It can now use some lefties or resist berries to tank attacks much more easily, throwing up wishes for itself or for its teammates. It also no longer has to worry about toxics from opposing walls. Not only is there great defensive value to Magikarp, now Delphox can run a demonic Life Orb set with its great coverage and essentially zero drawback. I thought about giving it Mind Blown as well, a la Radical Red, but I feel like that's a bit much, so Magikarp will do for now. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fixing Your Favorites. Please let me know what you guys thought in the comments about this one. I heard you guys in the last one with Noivern being a little broken and me kind of going a little too over the top. I honestly had no idea about the almost any ability ban with Aerialate and stuff like that. It's just not a metagame I keep up on. I still stand by the Fulso one not being too bad, though. I had a couple freaking out about that one. So I tried to tone it down a little bit in this one. I really don't think any of these are objectively broken or anything like that, but I think they give these mons some nice viability. Again, comment in the comments what you want to see next time. I'll keep going through the ones that are commented the most often. I will do. That's why we did a starter episode, because I got multiple requests for a bunch of starter Pokemon and for a starter episode. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought again. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Later.